When it comes to photography, I just couldn't get out of my own way. And then all of a sudden, it just clicked. So I want to share my experiences with you here today. Hi, if we haven't met yet, I'm Ken. I'm an amateur photographer learning photography right here along with you. I'm also the creator of the online community called The Big Photo Hunt, which is arguably the world's most friendly photography community. It's really friendly. Today, I want to talk about what's holding you back from either taking that first step into photography or from growing as a photographer and being where you want to be in the craft. So my whole life, I was on a very straight and narrow path, and creativity or art was never really something that was in my future. But I always had photography and videography kind of nudging at me throughout my childhood and life, and just kept ignoring it. Never really wanted to let it in. And in hindsight, the reason was pretty clear. I think the first was I just didn't want to be a starving artist. I was terrified of that. The second was I was just scared of putting myself out there and having people judge me or my art. And then one day, a very good friend of mine had me read this book. And I was like, all right, I'll read your book. The book was called The Surrender Experiment by a guy named Michael Singer. And the premise of the book, and some of you may already have figured this out. Like for me, I needed this book to figure this out. But the premise is that the universe has been here for billions of years. We're here on Earth for maybe 80 years if we're lucky, and that the flow of the universe has got it all figured out. And so you just kind of need to listen and be aware of what the universe is telling you, and you accept these opportunities, then you're kind of gonna be in the path where you should be in the world. So I read this book as a favor to my friend. I called her the next day and I said, you know, my whole life, photography and videography has been nudging me. It's been poking me, but I keep pushing it aside. But it's something that I've always wanted to do. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna go buy a camera. And I went and bought a camera. It was a Canon G7X. Started making videos and then got into photography. And then things just kind of started moving for me. I tell you this today, not because I want you to dive into any of this stuff, but I tell you because if photography is something that you feel nudging at you, or you've started getting into photography and you need to take that next step, just listen and be aware of what's out there. Maybe take that trip to the place with the most beautiful warm light you've ever seen. Maybe enroll in that online photography course that you haven't wanted to spend a couple $100s on. That's what photography is all about anyway, taking that step. The first is that even though I just said go ahead and take that course, the key is just getting out there and practicing. Shoot, share, take the feedback and response you get, and do it all over again. It's the reps and it's the practice that will grow your photography. The second thing that I learned, and this is something that you've probably heard before from great photographers or not so great photographers, and that's that gear can't help you. Gear is cool. I love gear. I'm shooting on an amazing camera here right now, and I love it. But that's not what made me a better photographer. And that's because photography comes from your unique eye and your vision and your creativity. The camera is just a tool. And it's funny because sometimes I'll have friends, they want me to take their photos and they, Ken, you have a cool camera, come take photos. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I tell you this to encourage you to move forward with whatever gear or phone you have. By the way, at this point in the video, I'm supposed to tell you to subscribe, ring my bell, and give me a thumbs up. And yes, that would be amazing, ring my bell. But what I really wanna do is tell you that if you're an amateur photographer looking to be part of a community to help you grow and share your photos, check out The Big Photo Hunt. It's the online photography community that I started, and it is arguably the world's most friendly photography community. It's really friendly. And the third thing I learned is that improvement is not linear, neither technically or creatively. Growth in photography happens in leaps, not increments. And I don't know why, I can't explain that. My own growth, it kind of goes like this. There are plateaus. And if I look back at my Instagram feed, I can see exactly where each step in my growth path happened. I can see the photos. The photos are different, the kind of photos, the way I took the photos, everything is different. I don't know if you experience the same thing. Comment below if you have other tips for people that are trying to get over that hurdle to either start photography or continue growing. I had a lot of fear of putting myself out there, both my photos and myself. And there were three things that I quickly learned that helped me get over that. The first is that nobody cares. Everybody is wrapped up in their own stuff in this world. And all of the anxiety and fear that you have, it's in our own heads. The second thing is that you're probably a lot better than you give yourself credit for. That's my wife. Hold on. I gotta take, Once I started putting my photos and videos out there, people started complimenting me and telling me how much they liked them. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And it gave me energy and encouraged me to do more. And the third thing that I learned to help me get over the fear of putting myself out there is to go back to number one. Nobody cares. And if they do, that's okay. This is your world and they're just living in it. So if you've got a nudge poking you in the gut, just listen to it and use it to grow your photography. Catch you in my next video.